Welcome to this allclickshelp.net tutorial. I'm just going to go over the daily schedule. Your daily schedule will be where you'll spend a whole lot of time. And so on the daily schedule, you have your banner bar along the top, and the banner bar will, when you have your patients selected in your list of patients for the day, that's what will show, right? You initially start off cleared. I select the patient, and other than if you're going into your note, I always recommend just clicking on the patient name. Just kind of keeps things in line and not accidentally going places you don't want to go. When I select the patient's name, now I've got my banner bar. So banner bar, this pulls information from the practice management system, and some of it is shared in the electronic medical record system. You've got your insurance. You've got your phone number information. The age is easily visible here for the quality dashboards access. You've got this break glass if it's appropriate. See, we have this R right here. That's mean that there's some restricted notes in here that just have an extra layer of privacy, so that if you need to know what's in that note for patient care or something, it just might require you to break glass, type in your password, and put a reason for access, and then those notes would become accessible. You have your alerts button here, that if there are specific My Alerts related to the patient as far as overdue items or meaningful use items, you have the status of the portal where it says, okay, for the hourglass, that means the portal information has been provided and the patient hasn't acted on it yet. You have the patient profile. So this is a small little I, but it's got all the patient profile information here from the practice management system. As far as insurance, this is another place where the pharmacy is, where the patient care team can be seen and edited. But most of the time, if you're going to come here, you're trying to find a little more contact information and an alternative phone number. The banner bar can also be changed manually by doing a select patient, right? If you click select patient, it will bring up the patient search box, or the drop down can also allow you to do that. If you had some patients in there already that you've searched for and you want to go back to a previous patient, they will show in the drop down by clicking the black arrow. So as for down here below the schedule, you have the provider's schedule that you're looking at right now. You have an ability to filter that schedule by AM appointments or PM appointments, or looking at all the appointments. For certain situations, you can exclude certain types of visits when you have a group of people on one schedule. Then as far as, it will always default to showing today's schedule, but you have multiple ways along this line here of switching the day. You can either switch within the same week, go to previous days or days in the future. You can use these arrows over to the right to go to a next week or previous week. There's a today button to always get you back to today. There's a calendar where you can go ahead to a future month or backwards, or the today button. You can't even put in a date manually if you want. So all the ability to kind of look ahead or look back in time on your schedule. Below that, we have the column headers for within the schedule. So the main ones as far as who the patient is, what's the time of their appointment, and then what's the appointment status. Then once a nurse rooms them, they will put them in a room, mark them as provider ready. So now you see those are updated. You can't even update these right here. They had to move them to room 4. Or if they were really still out in the waiting room, waiting for the nurse, the front desk could have marked it as such. Your note, when the nurse starts the note, or in some people they start their own notes, the note icon will show up in this column. These 3 columns are meaningful use. You have your transition of care visits, your summary of care of marking was a summary of care provided from the transition, does not apply to new patients. And then the clinical summary was a clinical summary provided, or you can actually click here to generate a clinical summary. And then you have the $, meaning that you've submitted the bill to the billers to review. Type of office visit, duration of the visit, the comments that were put in the practice management system, and who the scheduled provider is. The assigned provider is used by urgent care when you're working off of a global schedule. So most people won't utilize that column. So your clinical toolbar here that's floating around, it's initially annoying and the utility is difficult to see, but with time you start to realize that, oh, I can get some things done on my schedule without having to go back into the note, without having to go to the desktop. Because when you're on your schedule and you've got a patient highlighted, you're in the context of that appointment, meaning that anything you order or put in, it's going to be linked to that appointment, show up in your note, and you can do it quicker than going all the way back into the note and backing out of the note. So common things would be, oh, I forgot to put in a follow-up order for the visit. So I can go to the follow-up order section and put in a follow-up order for the patient. And from right here, it takes me right back to the daily schedule. Committed, and then I'm still here on the daily schedule to go to a different patient. The clinical toolbar is also a place where you can look for future appointments. The quick appointments button allows you to see future appointments or past appointments and noting the column that will say cancel or arrived. Putting an extra blood pressure in can be done from the daily schedule. You forgot a prescription. Patient walks back and says, were you going to send that prescription? You can do it from here. Don't have to go back into the note. Same thing goes for all these areas. Along the bottom of the daily schedule, you have some buttons here to whoever's highlighted. You can generate a clinical summary and it'll put it in edit mode so you can make some edits. So there might be a section you don't want to show or you want to add some typed comments. This is another way to access the patient profile rather than the blue eye. This is another way to access appointments. Looks a little different, but it's the same information. You can task from the daily schedule. Doesn't happen very often at all, but if I did want to send a task related to a patient, that would get me there. And if I wanted more details about this patient in question, that is also visible a little bit more than what you will see in the comments. If while on the daily schedule, your clinical toolbar goes away, you have your tools section up here that you can show, hide clinical toolbar. Sometimes it won't show the first time, and you do it twice, and it will show up. So the daily schedule, the far left item on the horizontal toolbar, where you will spend a lot of time, and you can learn to leverage the clinical toolbar to get orders in that may have been forgotten, and you've already closed your note to prevent having to all do the extra clicks and rendering time to go back into the note. Just use your clinical toolbar to put those orders in. They will still be linked to your visit and note for that day. I don't want to forget to talk about the personalized buttons. And you'll see a lot of screens where you have a personalized button, a hyperlink, and clicking that personalized allows you to set some settings. And so some of the important settings are related to how certain views look or what kind of appointments are going to show. So it's pretty, a default schedule is going to show on the list. It'll show any appointments that are arrived, that are pending, or that were rescheduled. If you did need to see any of who on the appointment was canceled or no show or bumped, or you want to see all of them, this allows you to switch that. And if there had been some of those appointments, they would show now. So you see here's some canceled appointments that are now showing in there. To change that back to the usual default, arrive, pending, rescheduled. You have an all provider view, so certain either preceptors that want to monitor all providers or nurses. There's the all provider view will help. There's another tab that some roles have. It's 4 provider schedules in one screen, so this allows you to set who those 4 providers are. So most of the time, for providers, this can be ignored. And then your favorite providers, you can remove the ones that you don't want to see. And now in the provider dropdown, it's much more manageable for those items that you want to see. So this has been a overview of the daily schedule. Hope it has been helpful for you. Have a great day.